So, hey, this is part 4 of courting and dating. And part 1, we discussed, similarities and differences between courting and dating, and the importance of what you believe in your culture and being, well, not even that, just being spiritually, unequally yoked and yoked equally, um, with that. You want somebody that's on the same spiritual path as you. Um, Part 2 was family, your partner's family. And of course, your family too, like it's both families. You got to take into consideration your family and your partner's family. Part 3 was about children, making sure that you have proper documentation and DNA tests stating, whether you're the parent of this child or not, legal guardianship papers, adoption papers, whatever you need. Just so there's no bullshit when you are with the person you want to be with and you marry that person and then you have somebody come in sideways from the past, be like, oh, well, this is your kid and blah, 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 and you trying to get you all riled up. No, DNA test right now, bitch. Right the fuck now. Actually, you should probably get it before. So this is part 4. That was part 3. This is part 4. Co-parenting. Because when you get with somebody and you're going to be around their family, everybody's going to have a hand in the child's raising and how the child is treated. So, you want to be careful about sexual predators in your family. You want to be in either family. When I say your family, that's y'all's family together. You want to be aware of any sexual predators, any weird ass energy, abusive stuff. Don't let people insult your children or talk down to them. That's fucking bullshit. I don't care. Some families be like, oh, that's the way we talk to each other. No, that's not okay. That's not okay. You've normalized it, and that's not okay either. It's abuse. It's verbal, mental, emotional abuse, and you just shut the fuck up. Say something nice or shut the fuck up. And then you have also into account the grandparents, and when you have divorces and stuff, then you have grandparents and parents that you co-parent and co-grandparent with. I wound up having a reasonably good co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband, because that's what I prayed for. That's what I wanted. Because at first, when we first split up, it was fucking hell. It was hell on the kids. It was hell on me. And it was because it was hell on everybody. I'll just put it that way. It was hell on everybody. And the more I learned about healing and how to be with your kids going through a divorce and what to say and what not to say, that changed my parenting a lot. Changed the fact, things I said and did a lot. And when I was going through a 12-step program to help me just process things, I think it was Celebrate Recovery is the one that was no, wait, was I in Georgia? I was in Georgia already at that point, so it was a little while. It was about 2 years after, about our 3rd year into being divorced. Maybe our 2nd to 3rd year of being divorced. I was doing step work through 12-step program, and part of that was making amends. And so I called him and I said, this is not to say that I want to amend anything between us, but I just want to say that I apologize for my part, for the wrong that I did. I wasn't always perfect. I wasn't always kind. And I apologize for my part. I took responsibility for my actions and my words that hurt my ex-husband. Some people may not be able to imagine that if they know me, but like, whatever. It's real. Hurt people, and he hurt the hell out of me. So he was hurt too. And I was just trying to hurt him back, or at least speak my truth. And that was not healthy either. So when I made those amends to him, and I told him, this is, just a part of our step work. I'm working on myself. This is part of my step work. And let it go at that. After that, man, we became great co-parents. To the best of our abilities. We did good. We would be able to talk to each other about the kids. Hey, this is going on with the kids. This is what's going on at school. We're having this issue in my household. How are things in your household with the kids? That sort of thing. We were able to do that as long as we kept his mother out of it. Needless to say, she does not co-parent with me well at all. After he went back to prison, she has broken every rule of the Kentucky state law as far as the things that the horrible things that she says about me to my children about me, hideous lies and stuff. And so these poor kids are being abused like that, and it's actually in the law book. That's one of the big things that I quit. As soon as I found out it was against the law to talk ugly about the other parent, I stopped. When I realized I was hurting my children by talking ugly about their other parent, I stopped. I didn't want to hurt my children like that, regardless of what my feelings were and how hurt I was. And then second of all, it's Kentucky state law. So I'm not trying to lose my kid. I was not trying to lose my kids over talking ugly about their daddy. You know what I'm saying? It was not worth it. And you're not supposed to let anybody else talk shit about the other parent either. Not in the when your kids ain't around and they can't hear you, you can say what you want to with who you want to, be it a counselor, your best friend, your mama, whoever. Okay? But when your children are around or within the earshot, you just don't do that shit. And so, on top of that, I technically retain sole and permanent custody of my children. That's never changed. I still retain sole and permanent custody of my children. But whenever my mother passed, and I saw that I was not going to be able to take care of myself like I needed to, and I sure as hell wasn't going to be able to take care of my children like they deserve to be taken care of, I let them. We did it without court because the court told us, the judge told us, anything you can settle outside of court, settle it outside of court because we don't want to see you up here. We want you guys to learn how to work it out. So I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't foresee myself being able to take care of the kids properly. My oldest son was already at his dad's family's house because my mother had passed. She had had a stroke, and then he went to stay with his dad's family while my mom was deteriorating. And then when she passed, she passed on Father's Day. So my kids were already gone back to Kentucky for the summer. I lived in Georgia. I had moved my children to Georgia to give them a different life. Or at least some variety in their life, But my younger son was going into 6th grade. He was super scrawny. My kids, my 2 younger ones had been 2 of the 5 white kids on the bus. In more of a hood school district. We lived across from the projects. So, they had friends, and they'd had friends, one of his friends from a different school district that we had lived in was going to be in the same. They were doing tours of the middle schools, and they seen each other and like, oh my God, you're going to school here, I'm going to school here too. But at the same time, I did not think it was going to be conducive to his personal growth to allow him to be in a school where he was a very skinny minority, where racial tensions can get high. And my kids are white. My kids, their dad's white. I'm white. Well, like we have. It's like predominantly white, I guess. It's like Celtic mixed with Cherokee, Native American, and we both got a little bit of. I'm pretty sure they're Romas. From Europe was the descent from the other lines. So but we show up pretty pale, so we tan well, and get really brown, but like it, yeah. So anyway, I didn't see that as being a good option for him, and so I always like to let my children choose. I didn't get a choice in a lot of matters when I was a child. So I was like, hey kids, your dad's family's always been talking about how great it is to be living up here in this shithole where I was raised and stuff. I hate it personally, and I would never want you to go back there, but at the same time, would you all like to experience, would you all like to live with your dad's family and experience that and go to school where your dad and I, in the same schools your dad and I went to school in, half the time same teachers, because that kind of thing. Small town community. And they were like, yeah. So I decided that since I didn't see myself being able to take care of them, that I was losing my house. So instead of my children being at school wondering if they were going to lose their mom from just intense grief and depression, or not knowing whether the lights and the water and the food was going to be there. I didn't want them to be. I wanted them to be able to focus on school while they was at school. I didn't want them at school thinking about what the fuck was happening at home, or if they was going to have their needs met when they got home. And because when my mom passed, that was my support right there. That was my biggest support right there. And so, yeah, my dad definitely was like, nope, I'm not helping you any. I was like, well, okay then. So I made the best choice I could. I talked with my kids, checked in with them about it, checked in with their grandparents about it. Well, their dad. I talked with their dad about it, And at that point in time, when I let my kids go up there, and the people at the child support office thought I was crazy, but I had to actually, I think I had them fax me the paperwork down, and I signed off on it and stuff and everything, but, or mailed it or something. We did something, but I forget, like, he owed, like, several $1,000s in back child support, where, at first he tried to starve us out, like, it was a rough divorce at first, but we had come into co-parenting and stuff, and I was like, look, you've got your second wife, you have her kids, you've got, because she had 2 children from a previous relationship, and then they had 2 boys, and in the household they had 2 children with leukemia. So well, they didn't know at the time that the little one had leukemia, but the oldest one did. And then so you got four kids with them, and then you got my 3 coming too. That's 7 kids to handle. Like, they all going to school. Well, the 2 little ones weren't, but still, that's a lot of money with diapers and stuff too. So like, there was no way. I was like, it would not be fair to me to still ask you to pay child support when you've got our children. I can take care of myself. I would feel weird about him sending me money that he owed me to support to support our children with. Like, that was for the kids. Like, when he would send money, like the first time he ever sent money, I put it in the bank account and I saved it for their Christmas. I did not touch that money until Christmas. And when I bought them their Christmas presents, I put on the thing from Mom and Dad, because their dad paid, and I told them, your dad sent the child support, and that's what I that's what I helped buy your gifts with. This is Christmas from Mom and Dad. And because that's the kind of person I am. That's the kind of person I am. You do things right. I do things right, to the best of my understanding. And to me, that's what felt right. It was hard enough that their whole family was being ripped apart. So to have something that, whether it was to have something that says, hey, your dad and I, even though we're apart, we did this together to make your Christmas. That's the message I sent to my children. And so anyway, so whenever my children went to go live with their dad, I was like, dude, you're having to buy for like 5 kids for school clothes and everything like that. And I know you've got your mom's help and stuff. She's next door and everything, but I couldn't live with myself knowing that my ex-husband would be sending me money when the kids were with him, knowing that he's got all these kids now that he's responsible for, and I'm a grown-ass woman. I can be responsible for my fucking self. He ain't owe me shit. That was money for the kids. So keep that money that you're making for the kids. So I signed the legal documents and forgave him what he owed me, and zeroed the balance out. First of all, so he wouldn't have to pay it. Second of all, so he wouldn't go to jail for not paying it. Because my kids needed their dad in their life, was my point of view. They needed that. They didn't need their daddy in jail. I worked hard to keep my ex-husband out of jail, and sometimes that just didn't work. I did the best I could when I was married to him and when I was divorced from him. So, and I made a lot of mistakes as a parent, because my thing was trying to keep their dad out of jail in order that they would have a dad in their life and not have to do without that. So, I drive him around, chase him around, while I leave the kid with the grandparents. Worst mistake of my fucking parenthood. I thought I was doing the best that I knew how. That's at 19, at 18 to 23 years old, that's I had no idea. In retrospect, I would definitely say, hey, if your significant other, as the parent of your children, screw up and are the kind that continuously screw up, let them go. Let them go screw up. Let them be housed up in jail where they're going to be took care of. Take your kids for visits. help pay for the phone calls, keep the connection, that sort of thing. And part of co-parenting is also, like, even when my children's dad was in jail, there was one Christmas my kids called me crying and said that, that their grandmother would not give them, she wouldn't pay for the money for a phone card for their dad, and they wanted to talk to their daddy for Christmas. And I was just like absolutely horrified. I'm like, wait a minute. This is her own son. This is her own grandchildren. And she ain't even got like $20 for a phone call? For a phone card to make, so he can talk to so they can talk to their daddy on Christmas? Like, get the fuck out of here. That's horrible. So you know what I did? I was like, kids, I got y'all. I said, what's the information? How do I send your dad money to do this? And so they told me, this is the website you got to go through to donate, to put the money on his books and stuff. And that's exactly what I did. My ex-mother-in-law was not going to stop my children from talking to their daddy on Christmas. And of course, my boys' birthdays is a week and 2 weeks before Christmas. So, for their birthdays and Christmas not to be able to talk to their dad on the phone. Like, they got to talk to me, but they needed to talk to their dad too. Like, oh, I was livid. I was like, oh, watch this. That bitch thinks she's got control over this. Watch. Watch. My babies are going to get what they want for Christmas. They want to talk to their daddy for Christmas and hear his voice and stuff. Then by God, that's what they'll have. And I'll make sure they got plenty of money on their phone cards. And I don't even remember. I could have possibly even put like a little extra on there so he could get some extra food. Extra canteen. So that's what you do when you co-parent. That's how you co-parent. You do what you got to do do what you can for the best interest of everybody. And sometimes you got to take your feelings out of it. Or your own hurts out of it. And that's a big deal. That's, so co-parenting is very important. If I have a partner who has children, I am very much interested in having a healthy co-parenting relationship with their other parent, for sure. Because when you have a healthy co-parenting situation, a relationship and dynamic there, then the children feel safer and they feel more loved. It does take a community to raise the children. And if they feel that tension between the parents and the parenting units and stuff, then they're going to be nervous and fearful. And they don't deserve that. They've been through enough. They deserve to have a safe environment where their grown-ups and their parents can safely co-parent together. I don't care if it's my kids or not. I'm gonna love it just like it's mine. And I'm gonna show respect and try to, learn about the other parent by talking to the other parent. Because sometimes you get these people like, oh, my ex is so horrible. She did this and that to me, and this is the way she was, and then you talk to the ex, and she's like, oh my gosh, this is what was really happening from my point of view and stuff. And you're like, holy shit, he's just a narcissistic fuckboy. Next. And then you become friends with the other woman. I've seen it happen. I know. I actually have friends that are the baby daddy was like promiscuous and stuff, and it's something other, but both women who are now, they're married to each other and raising the child. So it's, it's open. Love is love. And, but I'm just saying, be open to co-parenting, or at least give it a mature and respectful shot. Some people may not ever be able to raise their vibration enough to where you can have a healthy co-parenting relationship with them, and that's okay. It'll have to be, evidently. 25 minutes, okay. Yeah, sometimes you're just gonna get the ones who you just can't do nothing with. You just can't do nothing with them. And the best thing to do is just keep that in prayer. Keep manifesting, meditating on having a healthy relationship with that person, that person's healing comes to them, that they work and grow through their own healing. And that's basically all you can do is just pray. And then, if some of them are way on out there and you need to get legal paperwork that says this person cannot call or contact you or keep the child from calling and contacting you, things like whatever you need to set up legally, set it up. Set up some legal boundaries, and then when they cross them, don't give them another chance, honey. Don't give them another chance. Because they're just going to keep on pushing that boundary. If you don't hold that boundary that you set within legal limits and with the law, then they know no bounds. They don't care. And the child is the one that suffers the most. So do as much as you can to do what you got to do. Everybody's situations are unique and different. Everybody's got different dynamics, and we've all got, and we may even grow and heal over time. Like, when my ex-husband and I first divorced, we did not. He was horrible, and I was just as bad, But whenever I saw one of my neighbors co-parenting with his ex-wife, I was like, wait a minute. Like, I'm not saying I want to be exactly that open with my ex-husband, because I had a protection order against him. There was definitely, there was domestic violence involved. And so I had a protection order that I renewed every 3 years for, I think, 9 years. And then I finally let it go because the kids were like, hey, can you let this protection order drop so that he'll be more likely to get parole? And I was like, let me talk to him and make sure he understands that me dropping this is only for him to be able to get parole so he can come back to you guys. And that in no means should he, we should continue our co-parenting relationship the same as if the protection order was still in order. Because it's not going to be good if he comes and starts violating my boundaries again. Like, don't be getting drunk and trying to call me and call me names. Don't. Not that he did, or at least not to my face. But there had to be protection there. But I let that go so that he would, so it would add up with his good time and he would get paroled, But yeah, definitely make sure you set healthy boundaries for everybody, and the kids are the most important thing here. Sometimes we have to set our own stuff aside and be like, what's really... Oh, but anyway, my neighbor, that's what it was. That's what I was talking about before. Like, the example that I saw with him and his ex-wife was unbelievable. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? And he's like, it's called co-parenting. I was like, wait, this is a thing? Like, there's a possibility that people who are divorced are okay with being divorced and still raising a child together, but in separate households, getting along with each other, even though the other one, they're off dating other people. You mean there's a healthy way to do this? He's like, yeah. And like, it just blew my mind and warmed my heart. Like, them Kentucky summers get hot and humid now. They ain't no joke. And so when her air conditioning unit went out in her house, she just came right over to his house. And he's got a big enough bed that, you know, he can sleep on one side of the king size and she can sleep on the other, and everybody's okay. Or take a couch. But you don't have to be, you know, and you can stay here until your air conditioner gets fixed, and I'll even help you pay for it. Because that's the other place of my child's residence. You know, my child lives there too. And I don't want you out in the hot. You know, I don't want you to suffer, because your suffering causes my child to suffer, because he doesn't want to see you suffering. And I was just like, I mean, he might not have even seen it as that. He just, you know, that's just the way he did and was. But looking back and speaking about it now, I'm just like, wow, you know, that's a lot to it. You know, there's a lot of heart to that. And that's what makes good parents, is realizing that, hey, we can't live together, but we can co-parent. We can parent our children well together. We can look after each other, and, you know, and if something tears up and the basement floods at my house, you know, I'm okay to come over to your house until whatever gets done needs to get done. You know, whatever the situation. And be okay with it, and nobody's bickering because we're in the same space and we have other significant others now, you know, or dating relationships or whatever, you know, and that's beautiful. And I saw that and I was like, I want that. God, I want that. You know, not exactly that intimate, but like, I want the co-parenting. I want to be able to have a great co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband. And like I said, with the 12 steps and the amends that I made and stuff, that's what set it off. And it put him in a position where, you know, okay, she's admitted that I'm not the only one to blame here. That she had a part in it too. And she just apologized to me. That softened his heart and caused him to be able to say, okay, yeah, let's co-parent. You know, let's raise these kids together apart. You know, so definitely there's books on co-parenting. There's definitely legal literature in whatever state, county you live in. Make sure you know your laws about that, and make sure you're not breaking the law in your children's hearts, please, because it's terrible. And right now, there's not a thing I can do about all the shit that gets talked about me. The last message I had from my younger son was calling me a gutter slut and a needle junkie, and telling me that he would smack the shit out of me. And I was just like, okay, first of all, I have never been a gutter slut. Ever. Second of all, I'm a fucking needle phobe, and my children know this. They know how freaked out I get about needles, about having to have my blood drawn just for regular tests. Like, they know this about me, so why this? And then for him to threaten me with physical violence and then accuse me of being a part of, like, killing, you know, like, help, you know, causing the death of my dad, my brother, and their grandfather's strokes and stuff, is just utterly, like, what the fuck are my children being told? Because, like, I have had my daughter call. She's called me crying before. I've got the Instagram messages where she's talked about it. I've got enough evidence to put their grandmother away. Or at least to take her legal guardianship rights away. But at the same time, all I've got is this small room right now. Where am I going to put my kids? So that's where I've been. Trying to heal myself and trying to establish myself so that I can do what I need to do for my kids. And they seem to think she's fucking God now, and oh, she's the only one that's been there for them. And I was like, well, it's hard to be there for your children whenever their legal guardian is like adamant and won't let them come with you, and won't, I spent the last two summers on my family farm taking care of my dad as he crossed over the Rainbow Bridge with cancer, taking damn good care of him. And living 20 minutes away from my children and not getting to see them hardly at all. Like, it's one thing when I'm across the country in California and it's one thing then, but like when I'm 20 minutes away and you won't let me around my kids when you don't have no right to, and I have sole and permanent custody of my kids, that does not make sense to me. Like, how does that even work? It doesn't. And then like to have to come back the next summer to deal with the murder of my brother, and dealing with his body and his children and his crazy ass baby mama, and deal with her and her boyfriend threatening me and everything else because of the land, because she wanted my inheritance. Like, what the hell? I'm really like, I couldn't be around my kids when I was 20 minutes away from them that summer because, one, I had brought an escort with me, which was actually a heroin addict in recovery, which he totally fucking relapsed while he was there. And I think he told some shit that was not true about me. And then I know for a fact that my brother's baby mama is the one saying a bunch of stuff about me that's not true. That's never been true. Like, really? Anyway, so like, I was not about to let my kids be up there with me very much between the danger of him and the danger that was my life being threatened. Like, I told that bitch not to even go out to my children's home with their grandmother and start no shit. And she tried, because my son was 18. And she went right on out there trying to start stuff. And I was like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't go after my kids. You done made sure my brother died so you could have a place. You done threatened me. And now you're moving in towards my kids? And when she couldn't get my kids, she decided to pit my kids against me by telling the whole county, like, all these lies. And most of the lies that she told about me are truths about her. Classic narcissist. Pointing the finger at somebody else and saying, oh, they're this and they're that and they're doing this and that, while they are actually the ones who are that and who are doing those things. Me, I'm over here celibate, sober, spiritual, healing myself, building everything I've got from rock fucking bottom. I ain't had to kill nobody for what I got. I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm just trying to build myself up. So, yeah. Because there was a lot of rough co-parenting stuff with my brother and his baby mama as well. I sat on the front porch of my house because they live, right across the creek. Sat on the front porch of my house listening to my dad, listening for him to either be breathing or not breathing, and then also listening for the screams of my brother's daughters, because she would come home and raise hell with my brother and start physically fighting him. And the weekend that my daddy died was actually, they had just went to jail twice over it. And it was exhausting. So I made sure that my brother had his protection order against her before I left. He was trying to get things right from what I've seen of the remnants of what's left, notes and things. He was trying to get things right with the custody, the child support, and things like that. He was trying. And it was when it was starting to come out in court. She didn't even have legal guardianship of her own children. She had to get legal guardianship of those girls so that she could be, over the estate, of their part of the estate. Because in the state of Kentucky, 2/3 goes to the sibling if there's no will written, and 1/3 goes to the children. And she even went so far as to threaten somebody else who was with a child that is most likely my brother's. So, it's fucked up. It really is. And the mother of that child didn't want nothing to do with our family farm or the land or anything. She would rather keep her life and keep her child safe. That's sad. That's really sad. Because that child deserves to know who it is, and to be safe in knowing who it is without having its life being threatened or its mother being threatened. Like, that's some fucked up shit. So anyway, be careful who you stick your dick in. Be careful who you lay down with and let impregnate you. Be careful who you're sharing your seed and your eggs with. Be very careful. Because there is some crazy ass motherfuckers out here that will take a life for no reason other than material gain. They will create lives for material gain, and they will take lives for material gain. So when it comes to co-parenting, make sure you want to know who the fuck you're co-parenting with. Watch who you lay down with. Watch who you make kids with. And watch them before you allow yourself to be in that position. Don't let that energy come up in you. Don't let them woo you with spell work and energy work and sexual magic stuff. Bullshit. Don't do that. Don't be weak. Know who you are. Figure out who you are. Have some self-control. Make sure it's what you want before you do it. Make sure you're not being deceived. Make sure you're not ignoring the red flags. Make sure you're not just settling or giving in. Because once you make a child with these people, you will be co-parents with them and their family. Indefinitely. So be very careful. Yeah. I've tried to present light sides to it and also dark sides as well. My experiences have not been so great all the time, but there's been good in them. So, like, I'm sharing it so that you can have some perspective. I'm giving you different examples so that you can say, oh, that sounds like a good idea. But, like, really, there's lots of material out there on co-parenting about how to work with the other parents and stuff. So do your research. If you've already got a mess, or if you've already got children, when I mean a mess, I'm not talking about the child. The child is never a mess. It's the people around the child that's a mess. So if you've already got that, then do your research on co-parenting and how you can create healthy boundaries. I actually have where y'all at? Where are those books? Oh, I put them up here. Okay. I switched shelves with my books, put them in a different category. Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. It's one of the best books I've ever read on boundaries, what they are, everything you need to know. I'll read the back of it to you. It says, people often focus so much on being loving and giving that they forget their own limits. Have you ever found yourself wondering, can I say no and still be a loving person? How do I answer someone who wants my time, love, energy, or money? How do I stand up to hurtful behavior or abuse? Why do I feel guilty when I consider setting boundaries? In this award-winning New York Times best-selling book, Drs. Henry Cloud and John Townsend give you biblically based answers to these and other tough questions. They show you how to set healthy boundaries with your parents, spouse, children, friends, co-workers, social media, and even with yourself. This updated and expanded edition specifically shows how to set boundaries in our increasingly digital world. Unpacking the 10 laws of boundaries, Drs. Cloud and Townsend show you how to bring new happiness and health to your relationships. You'll discover firsthand how sound boundaries give you the freedom to walk as the loving, giving, fulfilled individual God created you to be. Like, if you don't read and you're better with audio learning, get the audiobook. Check out their website. Just check it out. It's definitely hands down the best book on boundaries I've ever read. It helped set a whole precedent. It changed my life. Because I had no boundaries. I grew up within a family with no boundaries, and just mind blowing. I've got notes in here oh, this is like this and this is like that, and this relationship with that person and this person, and wow, okay. And then we also have nonviolent communication, a language of life. This is your best friend when it comes to developing your co-parenting relationships, because it teaches you how to communicate what you want to communicate without making the other person feel defensive. You see what I'm saying? Now, you may get some narcissists that's always going to fuck around and try to gaslight you with it, but I'm going to read the back of this one for you too. This is going on 48 minutes. Enjoy powerful and satisfying relationships in all areas of your life. Most of us have been educated from birth to compete, judge, demand, diagnose, to think and communicate in terms of what is right and wrong with people. At best, the habitual ways we think and speak hinder communication and create misunderstanding and frustration in others and in ourselves. And still worse, they cause anger and pain and may lead to violence. Without wanting to, even people with the best of intentions generate needless conflict. In Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Life, Marshall Rosenberg shows us how to reach beneath the surface and discover what is alive and vital within us, and how all of our actions are based on human needs that we are seeking to meet. When we understand and acknowledge our needs, we create a shared basis for a more satisfying relationship, a deeper connection with others and ourselves. Join the thousands of people worldwide who have improved their relationships and their lives with this simple yet revolutionary process. Nonviolent communication helps you free yourself from the effects of past experiences and cultural conditioning, break patterns of thinking that lead to arguments, anger, and depression, resolve conflicts peacefully, whether personal or public, domestic or international, create social structures that support everyone's needs being met, and develop relationships based upon mutual respect, compassion, and cooperation. 2 of the best tools you can have for any relationships in your life. Okay? And I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and recommend another kind of boundary, another kind of relationship and boundary book. It's Own Your Energy. Your energy is your spirit energy, your energy body. You know how you can be around some people and it just drains you. Other people it's just like, oh, you make me feel so, you make me feel good when I'm around you. So this one is reclaim your energy from the people and experiences that sabotage your personal power. Your energy is as unique as your fingerprint and a precious part of your identity. When you disconnect from your authentic alignment, you can attract toxic energy and become vulnerable to energy vampires or become one yourself. But when you own your energy, you can raise your vibration, deflect negativity, and reveal the best version of your life. Alla Svrinskaya, I hope I didn't butcher that too bad, is an internationally celebrated energy healer who has overcome tremendous cynicism from critics to bring her revolutionary methods into the mainstream. In this book, she draws on 2 decades of experience to explain how to reclaim your energy ID, your unique energy ID, and use it as your navigator in life. Boost your aura's immune system and neutralize toxic energy. Use the Aura Probiotics formula to help you thrive in modern life. Reboot your aura with a pioneering multisensory meditation. And become invincible with the new concept of daily aura hygiene. With this groundbreaking book, you will achieve a new level of well-being and become a magnet for positive vibrations in your life and health. And that's one of the ones that's helped me the most, especially working in the public, because you get so many people you get so many different people and different energies with working in food service and hospitality. So it's not just the people you're working with, it's also the people that are your customers, and they're like a dime a dozen and you're getting all these energies. And so I really have to dress up and protect myself and do the exercises from there. I can tell when I don't do the hygiene, the energy hygiene daily, and clean, clear myself and put my protection on. I can really tell a big difference in that, especially as an empath and a healer, and that can get dangerous for me. For all my life, I have suffered with other people's ailments and wondered what the fuck was wrong with me. Nothing. Well, I mean, there were things, but it wasn't my stuff, It wasn't my stuff. I was feeling other people's stuff. So, so learning about that and how to maintain better energy health and to be aware of people who go around trying to feed off of your energy because they don't have any of their own. They're called energy vampires. Most of them will be narcissistic. I would recommend to anybody to study, in these kind of relationships, study narcissism, study empaths, study red flags. Whether it be like for narcissistic empath relationships, whether it be for domestic violence relationships, just look up red flags and like if things start popping off to you and you're like, oh, that relationship was full of red flags, no wonder that didn't work. Or it's like, oh my God, I am in a seriously bad relationship. This isn't just me. I'm not just crazy. These are red flags that I've been ignoring, and now I need to do something to change my situation. Even when children are involved, you need to change the situation because it's not healthy for them to grow up in either. There are domestic violence shelters. So like, if you got to sneak and get some information, make some phone calls, sneak and do it, erase your caller ID, have your bag packed with all your, secretly packed somewhere with your paperwork and stuff in it, your birth certificate, ID, stuff like that in it, if you need to leave a situation. And, whenever I left my ex-husband, I had to get a police escort, and it was that dangerous. So, you know, I was able to, you know, have everything packed because lo and behold, they had just had a little conference, you know, guest speaker at one of the churches, or at a church that I went to, and actually the people from the shelter that I wound up going to, you know, a couple of years later, they had done the they had done a thing, you know, they had given a presentation and, you know, said, given information and stuff and about how you can help yourself. And so I followed that information, and when the time came that I needed to implement that in my life, I did. And it was the best thing that I ever did for myself and my children, and for everybody involved. It was the best thing, and I will never ever in all my life regret that, ever. It was beautiful. A lot of prayers went into that, and a lot of protection from higher powers went into that, and yeah, it's it's a much better life, for sure. And I'm gonna end that one there. I went over a little bit with that one, about 56 minutes. So that's part 4. Courting and dating, co-parenting, the subject of co-parenting. So I hope that gives you something to start with, you know, just things to start on. That's all I'm trying to do is give you something to think about, something to research on for yourself. You know, if you spend time scrolling your social media, just stop. You're wasting your time, your effort, your energy. You're wasting your life. Do your research. If you can scroll, you can Google. You can listen to YouTube videos. You can, because there's YouTube videos. If you don't like reading, YouTube, honey. YouTube. It's everywhere out there. So, you know, if you don't like reading books, there's audiobooks. There, if you can't afford them, there's YouTube. It's free. Lots of stuff. Just put it in your search bar and go with what feels right to you and your spirit. And best of wishes to you if you're in a bad situation. If you're not in a bad situation, best of wishes to you to prevent yourself from getting in a bad situation. And if you're in a great situation, then congratulations. That's beautiful. And keep it up. And if you don't mind, you know, hell, make some videos about it. YouTube it. Like, put the information out there on how you work with your spouse or your partner or your ex-spouse partner with co-parenting and stuff. Put that information out there. People need to know that there's hope, you know, that we can raise these children in a healthy manner. So yeah, end of that video.